Welcome to the Heart of the Equation, where analytical minds explore leadership, professional growth, and the human side of success.
This is the space for business professionals in the STEM field to reflect, grow, and redefine success on their terms.
Together, we'll dive into challenges, transformations, and stories that can help you build an authentic, purpose-driven career.
Let's get this started.
Hello, everyone. We're back again with episode 2 of The Heart of Equation with Pragati and Anisa. In this episode, Anisa and I are going to interview Pragati because she is the perfect example of side business owner. She's also a tech manager. So we're going to ask a lot of questions. Although we know each other very well, but there are things that I'm curious to know about, and I think it would be very useful to everybody who's in tech, science, engineering jobs, but they also want to see what else is possible for them. Also, how to navigate stressful jobs, how to juggle. So this is going to be the topic of our talk today.
Do not miss this episode with Pragati, a tech queen and a community builder, and much more. So stay with us.
Great, wonderful. So I'm not going to welcome you because you're a co-host. We're going to have guests here. So Pragati, start with who you are, what you do, and introduce yourself a bit more to our listeners.
Yeah, so I'm probably not going to do the introduction that we did in the last episode. So I'm actually today going to talk a little bit more. I will dive a little bit deeper and go into my tech journey. So I'm a computer science engineer. I think I said that in the last episode, but just kind of laying the groundwork here. And I started now, it's been 21 years of me in tech. So it's been a really, really long time. I started with product organizations, which means I joined as a developer. I was in Oracle for a brief time. And, when you're that young, you don't really think too much before changing a job. The only motivation was almost double the salary, and I joined the next organization almost a year later. So it was Oracle and then SAP. The good part was that I still stuck to product organizations. So there wasn't much thought behind what I was doing. It was almost like, I shifted gears and, it was like a 180-degree shift, but the product was very similar. So it was an enterprise system and it kind of enables enterprises to do business. It's the tech solution. It's like the tech backbone. So it was really, really great to and I was in SAP Labs for 7 years. And I did everything from development to design to kind of leading teams, like really small teams, and kind of doing even maintenance of aerospace solutions that we had, or in the automation industry or the automotive industry. I wanted to say automotive industry. So these were like the SAP solutions that I was handling at that point in time. And it really gave me a great base. So a lot of people kind of jump. They do an engineering degree and then they do a master's or a MBA almost immediately. That's how it is in India. And they are already in a management track and they are handling a team of developers while they know nothing about development or product development or kind of softwares and how you kind of go through the life cycle of a software. I fortunately had the opportunity to really move ground up. So I did everything. That's why I said I did design, development, maintenance of systems. So I really knew it very well. And then I made another bold move. I moved to the industry. And again, I think this time it was a well thought of move. I was older and I was very sure that I did not want to be a tech architect. And that's what was happening in India at that time. Everybody was kind of on this bandwagon of let's move to the US and start implementing big SAP solutions. And I was young, and my parents also told me, hey, why don't you do that? Though, at this point, you're not married, no family, go enjoy, do that. But I was like, my heart's just not there. I really don't want to sit behind a computer screen all my life. This is not what I want. At least I knew what I did not want at this point in time. And I switched to the industry. I was like, I want to kind of see how businesses are actually using the products that I have been designing now for 8 years. And the first industry stint that I have, and I think this has been like one of my best career moves that I ever made, was I moved to Johnson and Johnson. And I was really lucky because I got at a very young age, I joined as an assistant manager, but at a very young age, I started kind of leading really large initiatives, where, you're working with vendors and software providers and things like that. So that was super interesting. And then J&J happened, Unilever happened. So I was kind of in the consumer goods industry for the longest time. And then this really big curveball kind of came our way. Hey, we're moving to Switzerland. I was like, are you sure? Because I was doing really, really well in my career. And I was like, I don't think I want to move anywhere. So it's sometimes, your personal situations kind of make way for the next step in your career. So I put a little bit of a break at that time. I moved to Switzerland and I did a master's in business and information systems. And I think I took a break for around 1.5 years. And after that, started the third round in this whole tech journey, which is when I got into consulting. That's what I've been doing for the last 6.5, 7 years, I would say. I was briefly in IBM for some time, and now, of course, you both know I'm with Accenture. Been with Accenture for over 5 years now. It's been the most challenging, but the greatest learning curve that I have kind of experienced. But I've done everything now, so that's why I went a little bit deeper into the tech journey. Like I've actually done product development. I've been in the industry of how do you really use these products. And now I'm a consultant kind of telling business owners and big clients, what's the right way? What's the right technology roadmap for you? So it's a full circle for me. So
That's
sorry, but
impressive.
I got too deep into it, but yeah, that's pretty much been the tech journey.
That's super exciting. Yeah, sorry, Anissa, you were asking something.
I'm just impressed, I know Pragati since 2 years and I didn't know the whole story.
Yeah.
So it is really, really impressive. And now she's leading a big, big team. But
Yeah,
how many
indeed.
people?
Tell us about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from being like one one developer who had multiple layers of hierarchical managers and managers of managers, and then the partners and things like that. I've also kind of grown up from like a 2-person team to a three, and like and today I think I have over 200 plus consultants that work for my, for the engagement that I lead. And it's very heartwarming. But it's also one of the things that I've really learned is when you go bottom up,
Yeah.
you kind of build a lot of credibility for your
Yeah.
teams. The respect that you get from your teams, because I know where they've been, and they kind of know that if there's a problem, there's always an opportunity to go and ask this person because he or she knows what we are talking about and what our issues could be. So, I mean, I can still get into the system and debug stuff if I had to. Don't ask me to do it, but then if I really had to, I could still do it. So, yeah, maybe the journey is a little bit longer, but it's very, very, very gratifying because you get to do everything hands-on. Till now, that the fact that I'm handling like really big teams and big engagements.
That's so exciting. But
Yeah.
what you shared, that really matters actually. I think I also hear that this is unfortunately not the case in a lot of places. We are at a time that we have so many generations and leaders who have no experience of the ground. So the journey you had, of course, it was hard work, but this is also the kind of leaders I personally really respect because you kind of know what's going on in the world of the people. Not everybody agrees with this, but it just gives you a kind of like a perspective that not a lot of leaders have. A lot of leaders who don't know what is going on in detail, they sometimes come up, they could be out of touch, or sometimes they come up with these ideas that it's a bit of a novelty. It takes time to
Oh
gain that
yeah.
respect. But that was a great point you shared. Wow, that's such a journey. You did so much.
So much, yeah. Sometimes I can't believe it that I survived in this industry for the last 20 years or so, because that also makes me realize that, okay, the white hair means something now. We were
Yeah,
just talking
yeah,
about our
talking
grays
about it,
before we started.
complaining about our white hair. But it's also
Yeah.
I'm not saying some industries are easier, but it's also fast-paced and high pressure kind of industry, like the kind of work you've been involved with.
Indeed, indeed. And I mean, it's just like um while we are talking right now, maybe OpenAI and generative AI is the thing of today, but maybe we talk next week for our next episode and we've already evolved. And there are 100 more tools that were introduced in the market. So that's how fast tech moves. And that's how fast you need to stay updated, because at the end of the day, as a consultant, if I don't even attach the title of a senior manager to me, as a consultant to big companies, to big businesses, to clients, they rely on us for what their technical landscape should look like. So it's really very, very fast paced. But as long as your base is strong, I think anybody can really maneuver the changing needs of the market or the changing landscape of technology right now. Because we don't know. I mean, all three of us put together, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or like a week from now. There's every day something to surprise you. Like I'm overwhelmed by the amount of Gen AI tools that are there,
Yeah.
while I use only ChatGPT, honestly. But there's like a whole library. So how do you kind of keep yourself updated? If you don't understand the basics, then it becomes just
Yeah.
just too overwhelming and not possible, probably.
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree on, and it applies to everything. There are certain foundations that are about humans. They haven't changed for thousands of years. There are certain ways our brains work, our expectations, our emotions. If you're familiar with those foundations of how those things work, I think we can still do a lot of things even if you don't know so much about the latest things. But at the same time, yeah, you can't run away from things. Things are happening very fast.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's like not everybody can know everything, but it's like what you said, right? The basics really matter. If the basics are fine and in place and you get it, then it's easy to build on top of it. And that's my advice to any woman in STEM or man in STEM or anybody listening to this podcast. Never ignore the basics.
Yeah.
Really, 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 if even if it takes longer for you to get to whatever your destination is, don't ignore that part, because I think even when I started writing, even when I started my Swiss story, I know we are going to talk about it. I still stick to my basics. I love writing, and then nothing is more important for me, even when it comes to content creation, than actually writing my own stuff today. And I'm sure you guys have your own, basics that you just don't want to leave, because that's what you love. That's at the core why we got into what we are doing.
Yeah.
How do you see, or maybe where do you see that we talk a lot about the tech parts, right? Where do you see the soft skill as a leader, especially, right? Where do you put those softer skills? Do you see them as a basic as well?
Yeah, I mean,
Or what are the qualities that you apply as a leader to bring an atmosphere, basically, that is more enjoyable for people to work, right? I say always we should not suffer at work.
of
Work
course.
should not be something that we suffer. How do you bring that atmosphere? How do you enhance that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And people are the core of any business, whatever be the business, STEM or not STEM. People are really the only asset, the only resource, the core, the heart of any equation that we talk about. And if you don't take care of your people, or if you kind of disregard the people element or the human element of any kind of business, it's going to tumble down and it's going to lose its significance very quickly. And also, like, the flip side of this, I want to kind of add to this is like it's much easier. I wouldn't say it's very easy, but it's much easier to learn technology, to learn how to code, to learn different tools in the market. It's so much easier than kind of understanding and dealing with people, because that's the hardest skill that you bring in. And then and as we grow up, and now all of us have grown up and we are no longer teenagers or in our early 20s, that's when you're trying to push in as much of knowledge as possible and cram up all the tools and the theoretical stuff. But as we've grown up, we've realized that that stuff was so much easier than dealing with people is. Creating great environments for people, dealing with challenging situations, kind of mentoring colleagues, learning, getting coached by our seniors. End of the day, these are the things that matter. Even with the clients, what I notice is it like a great conversation goes a long way, not just for our daily work, but for our overall business. If you can't create those relationships, if you really don't put your authentic foot forward, it's not worth it. It's no fun. And yeah, I think the people element is really, like I said, the heart of the equation.
Yeah.
I love the title now even more.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that is so true actually. And also I think we live in a time that information is going to be easily processed, especially with AI. I'm convinced that in 2 years, everybody who's giving any sort of information-based consultancy is going to be obsolete because you can easily get it from
Oh,
AI. But
yes.
what is really left is the trust element. I think that is really missing in a lot of things. That was back to the conversation we had behind the scenes. That's how like some practices are happening. People are also smart detecting that. But like basic relationships, building basic relationships with human beings, this is really something I think that's not going to be replaced and is going to be like a skill. I don't know why they call it softer skills. They are very, very difficult skills. It's so easy to
They
talk
are the
about.
hard skills.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they are the hard skills,
That's true.
really.
Yes, and also, I hear so much of this sort of leadership stuff being preached all the time, like do this and do that. But the moment you're a middle manager, you're reporting to the big bosses, there is some kind of big initiative happening on the top. And then you have your own team who wants different things, and you're in the middle. It's just managing all these expectations. That is not soft. That takes a lot.
Oh,
That takes a lot of personal skills, a lot of things you need to learn. You're just not born with it. So
yeah.
yeah, it's something I always find it very interesting that you just expected to have the common sense to know these things, and nobody teaches you that unless you go, do invest time in leadership training. But yeah, that's
Yeah. And it's learning by doing, right? I mean, most of the times, of course, we've all attended great leadership programs and they've been absolutely useful. But till you apply those principles, till you apply what you've read or what you've been taught, it doesn't go nowhere. So, and every day you are at your job, you learn new things. Every day,
yeah,
it's always learning by doing stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's so critical. And really, like you said, for mid-management professionals, uh, if you are in the mid-management sort of a area right now, which I am in, I know that I am somewhere there where it's not like senior, but not really junior. And then that's like the biggest challenge because you want to keep your teams happy because at the end of the day, they deliver the real core
yeah,
content that you want to provide. And then the success of you is sometimes tied to people at the top. So then you work harder to kind of also attain their objectives. So it's a really challenging position to be in because you're kind of getting crunched from both the sides.
yeah. I think we should do an episode or two or more only for the middle managers because there is so much. And this
Yes.
is the group of managers that don't get enough credit, but they get all the trouble. And they're always the ones to blame. They're always the one who gets the worst of both sides, but they're also the ones who move the needle. And I see like the whole media is
Yeah.
all about these top big leaders, the ones on the executive board. So we will definitely come back to this.
Yes, and I think these guys are the real leaders
Yeah,
because they are getting work done on both the ends.
yeah,
And unfortunately, this is like a underestimated ability.
Mm,
Uh, um, like nobody talks about this. Everybody is in that race to really reach at the top, whatever that top is.
yeah,
Whether it's a partner in your organization or a managing director or vice president, president, whatever it's called in your organ. Everybody has their own jargons for this. But really, this is the it's the most crucial level. And it's like the Squid Game where you can never come out to on the other side till you really kind of do all the matches in this particular
yeah.
this particular level.
You need even maybe more skills, right? Because you need to
All
deal with
sorts.
two different, or maybe more than two categories. You need to communicate with them, right?
Yes,
And the communication is the key, let's say, to all collaboration and the work that we do. So it is a huge, basically challenge, right? How did you develop
totally.
that, Pragati?
How did I live up to the challenge?
How did you develop that? No, they
Mm.
develop basically the skill, right? You have a big team that's sitting in different parts, different cultures as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. Trial and error was like I have no straight answer for this because like I was saying, I've really learned it by doing it.
Mm,
And I'm not shy saying this that I have failed multiple times.
mhm,
You know, that's what's taught me. I think failure has been one of the biggest teachers because all of a sudden when you're a team member, you know, you are your own boss and you're not really your own boss, but you're more independent and you know exactly what your scope of work is. So life becomes really good and you kind of go into your comfort zone in that time. But when you are put into roles like this, you fail almost every day at the beginning of it. Like, how do you really like? And I'm very empathetic. I really get involved if an employee is going through something, or if one of my leads says that he or she is not happy or is having trouble. I would really go into the details and kind of try to solve it myself. But that's also not the best approach. So I've developed my ways to kind of balance this out because
mhm,
time has become one of the most crucial and precious elements right now for me.
mhm,
And it's kind of about the balancing act. It's about always trying to be there for your team, but also giving them the trust that they can do a lot of things on their own. They don't need you all the time. So
Yeah,
delegation becomes really, really valuable at this time. And you need to kind of recognize people and reward them. So that's something that I've really learned. I do really well now, kind of managing really large teams because I can really trust them. I Before I couldn't delegate because I was so detail oriented. Like I said, I could get into the system anytime, but I had to stop it at some point in time. And on the other side, kind of dealing with the management, there's always this fear. What if I am not enough? You know, you go through the biggest imposter syndrome at that point in time when you are
mhm,
dealing with really senior people in the
yeah,
organization.
mhm.
You're always like you're a little bit not as confident as you are in your general life
yeah,
because you're always like, oh my God, what are they gonna? There's a lot of dialogue in your mind, and half of that is kind of pulling you back. So that takes even like a lot of practice to kind of, and the only way to do it is like keep putting yourself out there. You know, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, keep building relationships, keep doing things which will add value to the organization. You need to really believe in yourself because if you don't, then they won't.
yeah.
So
Applies
yeah,
to
I mean, we could
everything.
do episodes
That's
and episodes
beautiful
on it.
just to hear,
Yeah,
Sarah, right?
yeah,
Just
yes.
when you hear Pragati, you can just see how she has started and then open up to the personal development, right?
Yeah,
And even vulnerable to failure, and then grow so much as a leader to encourage, people in her team and then award them without micromanaging. So it's really beautiful to hear that.
Thank you.
yeah,
Thanks, Anisa.
yeah. And also the humanity, because it really touched me when you also shared about presenting something to the higher level managers. Because I used to think back then that I I feel like this because something is wrong with me and I'm not a very confident person. I was so scared when I had to present something that was like high stake. I would just lose sleep and look at that presentation so many times. I also had like bosses who were also probably as scared as I was, with my middle line, my line managers. So when you shared that, that was like everybody goes through that. Everybody's
Yes.
experiencing that. So if anybody's listening, you just know that these are normal feelings. But we also
These are
learn,
normal feelings, and your boss has gone through it.
yeah,
Trust me on that. Your boss has 100% gone through it. The guy or lady that you're scared of at this moment has been in your shoes and has gone through exactly what you're going through today. So just hang in there. Accenture does this amazing thing to you that we present every single day. In my role, I don't have the time to get scared because
yeah,
I present every single day of my job. So, like they say, there's always a joke about consultants, right? They only use two tools. One is the Excel sheet because they're always doing finance calculations. And the second one is PowerPoint because they're always making amazing, slick presentations to sell stuff. So in a consulting organization, they don't give you an opportunity to, think too much about a presentation because every second day you're presenting something,
yeah,
either
yeah.
internally in front of like a large board or in front of your clients.
We need an
So
episode about that as well.
Yes,
I
yes.
think
Actually,
presenting, fear of presenting, because you are saying, Sarah, that I go through that as well sometimes. So I think it's a human being thing, and it's good to talk about it, to do
yeah.
not keep it hidden or as a taboo that I'm the only one, who is scared to present.
Yeah, and also it's not, it applies to everyone because, I have my own business, but I was also scared of doing like webinars, like 100 people, strangers, they come, they scrutinize everything you say. And I used to be scared of that too. They were not my bosses exactly, but it's a kind of judgment that you're being scrutinized, interrogated in some ways. This applies to everything, so we definitely have to talk about it. But it's also what you mentioned, Pragati, is you do it a lot and then you don't have time to be scared. And this applies to pretty much everything. You lose a sleep overnight for the first time, and then you lose less sleep, and then it becomes your normal thing, and that fear becomes like part of your new normal. Then there are other things you'll be scared of, but that's how we build resilience and resources.
absolutely. I mean, you have to put yourself out there again and again and again, and it's going to be scary. No one's saying that. And your fear is absolutely justified. And there's deep psychological reasons why, our intensity of fear is different in different individuals. It's, there's a lot over there, but everybody has it. Intensities might differ, but everybody feels it. And like I said, right, if you are feeling like you are the only one, just know that all three of us just admitted to this.
Yes.
And we
Yeah.
still do it. And we
Yeah.
still do it.
Yes, yeah. But I'm so glad right now I have so many people I can talk about it. It's just for me, it has become normal to talk about it. But let's say 5, 6 years ago, I used to keep my face and I would never tell anyone that I'm actually scared of doing this. I would pretend this is just normal. That was my corporate persona. Everything looked good from outside, but from inside, I was losing sleep. I was scared. I was anxious. There was a lot of things. So yeah, that was really, really interesting. I actually want to touch on something else. Just we want to cover a lot of things in the short time we have. Is your journey to Switzerland? Because there is something you also shared. You had a really good career. You were pretty established before you come to Switzerland. And then the thing about Switzerland is an amazing country. But when you come here as an expat or a partner of an expat, you start from zero. It's like you suddenly become a nobody and you have to build everything. So how was that for you as someone who actually was somebody before that?
Yeah, absolutely heartbreaking, I must say.
Mm.
Because I have promised myself that I'm going to be as raw as possible in this podcast. So it was heartbreaking because I came from a space and a place where I felt like, oh my God, I have 13 years of work ex with
Mm.
with the best organizations in the world. Like on my CV, you had names like SAP, Oracle, Unilever, Johnson and Johnson. It doesn't get better. Like it's not even Fortune 500 we're talking about. We are talking about Fortune 100, if I may. I was like, how hard is it gonna be? I'm going to come here, I'm going to take a break for a while, travel a bit, and I will go back, or I will do a master's, or this or that. But finding a job is going to be easy. And then almost 100 applications later, I realized that my entire perception, like it's a big setback when you realize what you imagined, and you are a little bit then underconfident about yourself, then you have a lot of self-doubt that is it not enough? Like, what's wrong? Or is there something wrong in me? And what's going on? And today, of course, we can talk about it and say that the cultural nuances are so different. How to life in Switzerland is so different. The way job recruitments happen or job search happens in Switzerland is so different. But it's in retrospect. But at that point in time, I cannot forget how I felt. Because it wasn't like, I was a fresher and I was just starting out. It wasn't like that at all. And it's a great pivot for me to say that my Swiss story happened at that point in time in my life. Because that, in a way, while it's been amazing and it's helped a lot of people, it's also been a healing factor for me. Because at that time, the things that I was going through, a lot of self-doubt and kind of like, am I ever going to get like settled in this new country? My Swiss story healed me completely, because I would say that it was like me finding purpose in a new country where you're kind of lost. So you don't know. India is so different. It's such a vastly different economy and culturally such a different country that you're a little bit lost when you come here. So yeah. So
That
in
is so touching. I just remind of the Rumi that he says, like, the light comes out from the points of pain, right? So I just feel the things that you've been through, and you have created this whole concept and community. Maybe can we ask Sarah, what is the Swiss story? We know that.
Yeah, of
But
course.
maybe there are some people that who are seeing that and they don't know what is it and what is it creating and doing.
It's so famous.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
most people, everybody I meet knows about it, but yeah, you tell
Oh.
us.
But I mean, if 8 years ago or 9 years ago, someone asked me that I would be a community builder and there would be like hundreds and hundreds of people in the community and thousands of people kind of following me and reading my blogs, I would be like, you're joking. The only 4 people that read my blog is my mother, my father, my husband, and my sister. And that's where the audience ends for me, because I always loved writing. So it wasn't that I was not writing, it was like the 4 people audience that I had. They were the only ones who would read whatever I was writing. But so my writing found its own purpose, right? It only started as, and by the way, there was no My Swiss Story in 2016 when I moved. There was B for Beauty. That's why B for Beauty is still in my email address. And Sarah, when I think I did an interview for you, it was still B for Beauty at that time. I
Yeah.
don't think it was My Swiss Story yet.
We did a few.
When I had
I'll talk
interviewed
about
you.
it. Yes, yeah, it was. But then I also we did another thing again with my Swiss story, which was really good, actually.
Yeah, and then the second time we did your interview, it was My Swiss Story.
Yeah, actually, I
Yes, I
had some
remember.
wonderful clients coming to me just because of that. So it's just, it worked so well, this collaboration we had. I also think you did it right, because I've met so many people with this idea of building communities here and there. Either they don't sustain it, so they have the idea, and then after 6 months, it's hard. They lose, they just let it go, or their communities do not grow, but you were able to grow this. You did a lot of things strategically right. I think also maybe some learnings from your corporate background played a role, but you
Yeah,
consistently
absolutely.
served an audience. You focused on one key topic, that's like this expat life, career life integration. So it was people knew when they check your platform, this is what they are getting, and that was very useful for most expats, I think.
I'm glad that, people can, when they think of My Swiss Story now, they think of 3 or 4 keywords: expat living, women empowerment, community,
Yeah.
like a supportive community. And these are my keywords, right? And if people already can relate to these and it's almost synchronous with the word My Swiss Story or the phrase, I mean, I think my job is done. There was less strategy, but more a journey behind this. And everything came from a personal need. When I started writing, it was giving me the purpose to kind of set foot in a new country. So that's when I became an influencer.
Yeah.
Or so to say, right? That's what I was doing at that time, was collaborating with brands all the time. I was doing so much of kind of travel articles and travel blogs and collaborating with travel kind of companies and things like that. So it was great. It was fantastic. It just felt a little bit hollow at some point. We are all growing up, and I did not want to be an influencer. It was a really it was a choice that I kind of I want influencers a little bit of a overtly blown up term, but in the conventional word of an influencer, I did not want to be that. So there was a point where people still kind of look at me like, why did you do that? But I stopped getting my name out of all PR lists. Like, please don't send me any more products now. I'm not going to do that anymore because I wanted to build a community and I wanted to give a lot of value back. And somewhere it struck a chord with me that, women empowerment is, while we still talk about it a lot, it's important to walk the talk. And that's how it started happening on My Swiss Story. You both have been featured there. It's such an amazing medium to it's such an amazing platform now that people get, not just me, but so many people, not just in Switzerland, but globally, get to read such amazing stories of women like you. So the writing part still gives me the most amount of joy, I have to be honest. That's really my love. The love of my life is really writing. But everything that's happened around it, all the content, all the amazing pictures, the videos, it's a lot of hard work to do all of that. The people that we have, the community members that we have, the events that I do, and some of them I do it with you guys. It's all really very heartwarming.
Yeah, I think what is really nice about this platform is the authenticity. It's just you are who you are and normal human beings without like all this, I don't know, fuss some proper PR agencies do. Because I've also tried, when I had my fashion business long time ago, just some proper magazines featuring products, and they have a lot of processes you have to go through. And sometimes what comes out, I wasn't sure, is it really the real thing? But with you and all the people you bring in, it's just normal people, normal like human stories, and it's not like nothing is going to be pushed towards you. So I think that's human connection. That's a really important asset that's there, and that's been massively helpful to a lot of people, especially expats that are. It's not so easy. Switzerland is not the most, how to say, it's not an immigration sort of destination. It's not so easy to get integrated here if you don't speak the language. So some community
Yes.
is needed. So I was out of a need.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said before, there was definitely a need, and then I was able to fill like a small part of that need. And yesterday, Anisa and I were talking. We, by the way, went to a really nice relaxation spa yesterday, and we were both chit-chatting like girls do. And we were like, the only thing that really matters, like you can be really talented, you can have the best of ideas, but if you don't have consistency, if you don't
Yeah.
stick to it,
Yeah,
nothing really works. And
exactly.
especially in
That is
this
the
whole
magic, right?
blogging, yeah. In this community building business, or like mine is a non-profit, but this whole community building activities, blogging, influencing, becoming a content creator, digital marketing, especially in these kind of things, or personal branding, if you're not consistent, if you're not making those relationships with your audience, with your people, you're not going to go anywhere. You can have the best of ideas. These ideas go back and sit in a box again.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
think with the heart, we were saying, right, so with the heart and integrity, so you
Yeah.
can be known and kind of be known for that, right?
Yeah.
So then you attract those people also to your community. So that's why the people enjoy the community that you are building, and they come over and over, right?
Yes.
We were talking also about that,
Yeah.
Pragati, that maybe the content of the workshops or the events that we do might be the same, right?
Yeah,
And then people are attracted because the atmosphere and how they feel, the vibe, the
exactly.
energy, and the heart
People
that
never
we
forget how
put
you
there.
made them feel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah, that is so true. And also what you said about consistency, it's something a lot of people miss out. They just, it's not that on good days you perform and on bad days you just let go of things. You just do things on repeat, just like big businesses do, They don't, Chanel is always selling their stuff, but they also have
Right.
bad performance, years. They have like
Yeah.
negative, I don't know, loss and all of that kind of stuff, but they just perform, and this is something we all need to practice for career, for business, for everything.
We
Yeah,
need to remind
absolutely.
ourselves, yeah.
Yeah,
Have
it's a
discipline, right?
constant reminder, it's a
Yeah.
constant push, it's a constant struggle at times to push yourself to do things when you don't want to, because that's the hard part. When you want to, when you like they say, like I don't have the writer's block or I'm in flow, like I'm in the flow right now, it's the easiest to do it then. But the days when you are in that mode versus the days when you have blocks and setbacks and demotivation, and especially women, we have so many. God has blessed us with a range of emotions through one day.
Yeah.
So to
Richness of
keep,
emotion.
I think we just should wear a badge of honor for being consistent despite all the events
Yeah.
that external and internal happen to us.
We need
Yes.
an
Yeah.
episode on that as well, how the consistency can bring you results, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah, that has so many elements of emotional resilience, managing our emotions, managing also physical stuff, actually. Sometimes it's not just emotions, it's also physically we get challenged with a lot of things, and sometimes our bodies
Yes.
just can't put up with a lot of things. So that's a real thing. Yeah, yeah. So something I also wanted to ask you is about this whole juggling thing. You're doing so many things. How do you do that? Is this like something that naturally comes to you, or you have like a secret strategy for it?
Again, it's again like if you want to do so many things, you also and this is how I learned the hard way, because I've had a lot of health challenges. Have to be honest here, right? And it's not because of one particular thing that happened or one event in my life. It's the way I've designed my life, because I want to do a lot of things. And I'm sure there are a lot of us, and I know both of you as well. And there are a lot of us who want to kind of do a lot of things. Like we have a lot of ambitions. We want to make an impact in the world, and we want to earn great money and be successful. All of us want everything all the time. And I was in this quest for years, right? Like I said, my tech career has been 20 years. My Swiss story is as old as we've been in Switzerland. I also teach at the university. I spoke about it last time. And I have a family, I have a house. So it's really like a lot of balancing. And at times it really does affect your physical and mental health. And so I've done a lot of thinking, I've done a lot of reprioritization, I have reduced stuff for myself. So I don't kind of ever recommend overwhelming yourself, because the most important person in your life is you. And if you're not taking care of yourself, all of these castles that you build come crashing down in a day's time. It can
Yeah.
actually happen in a day's time, while it took you years to build these castles. So my number one recommendation is ask yourself, check in with yourself as regularly as you can. Take care of yourself first, put yourself in the center, and then decide what you want to do. And then balance it out. Like, for example, I used to teach the entire module at the university, and I thought I was a superwoman and I could do it. At this point in time, I teach 6 to 7 classes at the max during the autumn semesters. And it keeps me very happy, because I love teaching and I love kind of having a role to play in the next generation, but not at the cost of killing myself.
Yeah.
So So it's how you can delegate things, how can you really balance things out in your life? What's really important to you? For me, I've asked myself that question so many times, and the answer is always my family. So I had to reprioritize a lot to make sure that I give enough time. Like there's never going to be a point in my life where I'll say, oh, I regret that I didn't spend enough time with my daughter or my husband, because I'm actively making time for this.
Yeah.
It's a
And at
conscious
some point, we
decision,
all
huh?
lose
That's
ourselves,
nice.
right? Yeah. But yeah, that would be my advice on multitasking. It's not for everybody, and it's not a badge of honor. You need to see what you can manage, really.
Yeah. Anissa, would you like to ask the next question?
I'm wondering now, so you gave one advice at this moment, right? Just check in with yourself.
Yes.
So what are the other advice that you like to provide to the audience today?
I don't know if I can really. I mean, of course, like I said, I think my number one advice was what I just concluded, and I would say this again is put yourself uh, and I practice this. Talk to yourself in the way that you talk to your daughter, and my perspective completely changed. Because with your children, you are so protective of them. You're like the mama bear who wants to just kind of take all the troubles away. And I was like, why don't we do it for our own selves? The self-talk is so critical. And at this point, at this whatever midlife time that we are in our lives, our self-talk is getting more and more critical, which is, I think, is extremely unfair. So that's something, that be kinder to yourselves. I know it's said so much, it's such an overused use social media statement, but really, I mean, put yourself at the center of everything, because if you function really well, so does your family, your work, your other commitments.
Exactly.
And value relationships. Build them and really, really value them and nurture them.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
beautiful. Yeah, thank you. We could talk forever. I'm not even keeping
Forever.
track of time. But yes, I think we asked some questions to give an idea of how things work for Pragati, and I hope it's been useful to everybody who's listening. Lessons from leadership, from entrepreneurship, from just doing a lot of different things and being multi-passionate. I think you're such a good example, because something I noticed among a lot of tech science engineering kind of people who are in these jobs, they get a little one-dimensional. These jobs are also quite demanding. So you can actually get into it and then you come home very late. You work much more than the 9 to 5, and you can get your identity gets dissolved in that world, and then they forget about their passions, and they also feel like sometimes even embarrassed to pursue them after years of, I don't know, being an engineer. They're like, being used to perfection. Like I know
Yes.
people, like, I like to paint, but I don't know, at this age I could never be a good painter, so they just don't go follow it. But you're such a good example of, like, you can have different passions and you can be a good tech person and you can do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
you can still love
Successful
tech, and
leader.
you can still love tech, and you can still, like, Anisa paints on the side and I write on the side, and Sarah, you have your own thing. So you can still be multi-passionate and do
Yeah,
many things and be good at them. It's
yeah,
absolutely possible in this world.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pragati and Anissa. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's been listening to us. So if you have any questions, let us know. I'll end our conversation now. Do you have anything to add, guys? Ladies?
Thank you. See
Thank
you in
you.
the
It was
next
such
episode.
an amazing reflection of the last few years. I'm very happy right now that I could share it, and I really hope that our audience will get a tip or two from here.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation too, actually. This is wonderful. Thank you very much. And yeah, see you in the next episode, everyone. Bye.
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 Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Heart of the Equation. If this episode has sparked something for you, we'd love to hear about it.
Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us on LinkedIn and Instagram to continue the conversation.
And if you know someone who is navigating their next career step, share this episode with them. It could be exactly what they need.
We see you next time as we explore more about leading with purpose, resilience, and authenticity.
Let's keep growing together.